Yeah, I saw it. Make Your Mark Season 2 just got leaked. Not the official scripts, I know we're still waiting on those, but the concepts and everything that was planned for Chapter 7 and beyond just got released. And, oh boy. I thought I was gonna be taking a break from covering the leaked episodes for a bit, after posting my review of the Battle for Maritime Bay Part 2. The whole edited versus original scripts debate around PTS is exhausting, and I need a vacation. But no. You guys just had to go nuts in the LP spoilers chat and spread this everywhere, to the point where if I didn't cover this, y'all would probably never stop asking me about it. Fine. Since this is all public knowledge now, I can finally come out and say that I have known about these plans for like a year and a half. Back when I was leading Hoof to Heart, some of these plans did go on to form what was once the original slate of Telltale episodes we had in development. And even after I left the project, those plans didn't exactly go unused. To those of you who've been watching my fan-made Admiral Producer series, first of all, thank you all so much for 800 subscribers. Y'all might remember this bit in episode 13.
Ooh, so it's like one of those Disney light shows, but a full-length movie? Exactly! Oh.
Yeah, I'm like Gooseworks when it comes to making things subtle. But hey, at least I don't have to hide Misty's narrative trajectory anymore. You guys wanna know why I'm still so obsessed over Comet being so useless in Telltale? It's because I knew full well that this is what he could have been. Actual ADHD representation in My Little Pony confirmed, with a prominent starring role in the main cast. This right here is the real Comet. This is the character we were promised, and it is so cathartic for me that I can finally say this in a video. Now, when looking at these slides, y'all can probably see exactly where parts of these original concepts became the Telltale Season 2 storylines we all know and love. Obviously, the Maritime Bay Boardwalk became the Board Trot. I don't doubt that this planned camping episode became a Swing in the Misty. Pet the Bunny definitely was retooled into Bonasai Beauties. Like, how could it not be? I think given how similar the two episodes are, the Pip mentoring Seashell storyline here has got to be what Pip Sync Battle eventually became, with Glory taking her place. And these individual charms, they look like they were folded into the Nova Charm 6 pieces. But there's also a ton of original storylines here that didn't make the cut. Ones that are so fascinating. For example, Fizabeth. Oh boy, this character. Artists, assemble. Y'all know what to do. I expect to see over 20 pieces of Fizzy fan art by tomorrow. I cannot get over the fact that we were actually going to have physical disability representation in Make Your Mark, on top of Comet's ADHD. It really goes to show just how much the team at Atomic Cartoons cared about making their target demographic feel seen by the media they watch. And having Fizzy be Izzy's long-lost cousin really would have opened a ton of extra layers for her character. Imagine what that story could have been like, told through Make Your Mark's rich storytelling, if it was treated with the same amount of emotional maturity that both Portrait of a Princess and that 4-part Chapter 5 Misty arc had. We could have had something truly special, unrivaled by anything LP has ever done before, or probably will ever do in the future. Now, you could say that it's not really original, considering Kerfuffle already exists in G4. But I would still argue that having a disabled Pegasus character still would have been something huge, especially since G5 has a much better grasp on how to tell these kinds of stories with respect. Altero apparently was meant to be even more evil than Allura, ooh! And Allura was meant to want to rule all the realms instead of going home. And I'm glad this specific plotline was scrapped. Now, you might be wondering, well, why? Didn't you say that you liked the original Allura? Well, yeah, I do. I love her. But Altero too? Here's the thing. Having 3 villains in one season is overkill. It was kinda acceptable in FIM Season 9, I guess. Depends on how much you want to call scrapping Grogar of all characters acceptable. But with literally every main character in Make Your Mark having their own storyline, including Sparky, and with every episode being serialized to some degree, where do you get the screen time for a 3rd villain on top of all that? Opaline would have come back and teamed up with Allura, that's enough. The description of that alone already sounds so promising. I don't think we need Altero to be evil on top of that. Especially since Tired Tales Altero is already such a precious cinnamon roll, I love him so much. Even without the full episode being out. I just can't imagine this guy being evil. But, you know, if you guys like that evil voice at the end of Secrets of Starlight, you fool, you had the star the whole time! Then, well, there you go. He would have been a 3rd villain. Back to good stuff. There would have been a lot of world building throughout the season, as y'all can tell by this slide. We know by now that the team really wanted to expand outward from G4, and build on its established story. And this is why the Breezes and Dragons are so important, as these species explicitly have a connection to the past. I really love the idea of transformations happening all throughout the season. Not only would it have been a cool way to sell toys, but you can also tell a ton of great stories with that element in mind. My personal favorite has to be the Dragon Moon Festival, where Hitch steps up to prove his worth as a Dragon Dad in a contest. I'm sorry, what? Holy cow, that would have been so awesome! It would have been emotional, directly challenged Hitch and Sparky's dynamic like Season 1 did, and it also would have been a true challenge for Hitch as a character. The planned Halloween special episode is a notable highlight too. Not only does it reintroduce the bat ponies into canon, aka my species, but it also gives them an official species designation. Nocturna. Get it? Because they're like bats, and bats are nocturnal. Nocturna. Because it's like they come out at night, and these species also have a night themed location, and they come out at night. But, and also, like, they look like bats, and their wings they look like, and bats are nocturnal, so then the bat ponies, nocturnas, are also nocturnal. That's why they're called nocturnas. But it's also a pun of nocturnal, because you remove the L from... Is any of this registering?
Stick to the smoothies, Sonny.
Anyway, I also love the concept of this special episode. It would have been Misty focused, and actually show her bonding with Comet over being outsiders and newcomers to Equestria. That is, again, more development for Comet that he never got in Turtle Season 2! And she also would have bonded with the Nocturnas and made them allies. The Sea Pony special was originally Pip focused, whereas in the final Blocky Walkies Tired Tail special, Izzy is the star of that, and forms a bond with Destiny. The Make Your Mark one would have had a unique theme though. Pip and Seashell would have been the focus, and it would have taught a lesson about being your truest self. I wonder how that could have played out. Maybe Seashell wanted to be a sea pony permanently after seeing how cool it is under the sea, and Pip would have to remind her about who she truly is? I don't know. That sounds like a pretty cool episode. To any aspiring fanfiction writers out there, you can use my idea for the episode, just credit me. Finally, I want to talk about Sunny and Skyros, as well as the ideal Phase 2 rollout. There are a couple details that I skip, and that's mainly because I want to save a much deeper slide-by-slide breakdown on these plans for a later date, where I'll pitch episodes for each concept, piece by piece, and fully write out what this season could have been. No, this is just a broad overview, made in a hurry because I want to capitalize on the momentum. And right off the bat, Sunny's mom was Make Your Mark canon? Oh my goodness! Sunny would have actually reunited with her mother. Nice. I think this storyline did survive fully intact into Tired Tail, given the clear setup and written in the Star Scouts, and this concept art that's out in the open, so that's good to know. I love how they would have done Sunny in this season, not only directly challenging her as a character in terms of her lofty expectations, but also tapping into the emotional side with the family plot. That's also another storyline that I've carried into my show. Go subscribe. In fact, family would have also been a core content theme throughout the season, as evidenced by this slide. The three main themes would have been family, which we see a lot of through stuff like the Fizzy storyline, Misty and Alphabeetle, the absolutely goated Dragon Moon special with Hitch and Sparky, and the Sunny's mom plot. Explore, which would have been shown through all the external world building and adventure plots. And finally, transform, which is represented by the main six transforming into all different kinds of creatures, for one story purpose or another. It's unclear if Sunny's mom would have been named Nova in this version, but who knows? All I know is, if family would have been a core theme, I would have loved to see what masterpieces they could have cooked up, after treating us to peak episodes like Portrait of a Princess and the Family Tree's two-parter. But back to Sunny. Her family plot looks like it would have anchored the entire story, which makes sense if she's the protagonist. Skyros also looks like it would have been a central storyline built throughout the whole season, and judging by this slide, it would have been deeply rooted in the reunion plot. Right now, it's unclear just how much of that Skyros focus survived in the Turtle's future with Ponyverse, but I guess we'll find out eventually. Lastly, we have the Phase 2 ideal rollout, which is basically the release schedule that this season would have had. In it, there's broad overviews for episode plots, and what could have happened in each chapter. I'll get into this more in detail when I make my planned big video, but for now, Phase 2, or Season 2, depending on how you want to say it, would have opened up with the Dragon Moon Festival special in Quarter 1, 2024. Then there would have been a gap in Quarter 2, and then Quarter 3 would have released Season 4? I don't know, it's hard to gauge because everyone seems to call this Season 2, except the creators apparently. So, Season 4, or Chapter 8, would have introduced the Board Trot and Sunny Smoothie Shop. We would have also seen Alora's arc start to be introduced, which is interesting because it would have been a lot different to how Tired Tail Season 2 ended up doing it. Also, the Novatron would have been explored more, and we would have returned to the Breezy world. Special 2 would have been the Alicorn Land special. Skyros, we're already doing it. Honestly, that is a much better placement than how Tired Tail is currently holding off on it for who knows how long. Then we would have gotten Season 5 in Quarter 1, 2025, and this chapter would have introduced new family members, probably Fizzy, and deepened old bonds with a royal wedding. The Alpha Haven wedding, yes! And Alora would have also done more evil. Okay. She seems to be a lot more of an active character here than she was in Tired Tail. In Quarter 2, 2025, we would have gotten Special 3, which is the Sea Pony special about Pip and Seashell. I find it funny that it was Special 3 in Make Your Mark, but Tired Tail bumped that all the way up to Special 1. And they combined that with the Board Trot. Wow, a lot happened in that special. Oh my god. In Quarter 3, 2025, we would have gotten Season 6, which would have been Chapter 11? 12? I don't know. In it, the Halloween special episode would have happened, And also, Allura and Opaline would have teamed up. Oh man, I would have loved to see that. We were robbed big time. Imagine the original Allura and Opaline working together. That would have been huge. And finally, in Q4 2025, we would have gotten the end of G5. The originally planned ending, the main six would have traveled to Skyros and met the G4 main six? Now we know where Ponyverse came from. They really extended the plot of the Singular Make Your Mark special to the plot of a whole season. Why am I not surprised? And also, this is where Sunny would have reunited with her mom. Yay. All of this is to say, Make Your Mark Season 2 probably could have been the greatest season of Pony ever made. And it is a shame that Netflix did not renew this. I've heard some people say that the creators or Hasbro Corporate didn't have confidence in G5 when conceptualizing this, given that it was only given 5 years to tell its story, whereas FIM had 9. But I think you have to understand that G5 was a very story-focused generation. They planned the overarching stories and overall vision out in advance, and had every single detail matter in the end. It's not like FIM, which got away with far more episodic fare before Season 4 changed the overall direction. G5, by design, was intended to go bigger and bolder than FIM ever could. This generation focused on delivering serialized storytelling that challenged you and made you think. I think with having such a tight focus on story, 5 years really was appropriate. Yeah, it's kind of a shame, but you also gotta respect the ambition the creators had for having a set story that they wanted to end on their own terms. You don't really see that often nowadays in our modern media landscape, and I'm glad the concept of ending a show's set story without milking it is becoming more normalized through indie animation projects. I still love Naruto Season 2, like a lot, but oh man, if we got this season instead, it would have been far superior. There would have been a tighter focus on story, every character would have gotten development and their own overarching storyline, Comet would have been relevant, the representation would have been off the charts, just so much stuff. The only thing actually wrong with these plans is that Altero would have been a bad guy, and Allura would have been far less sympathetic than what she ended up being. But aside from that, I wish this was made. People have been saying that it's hard to make fan projects to keep the G5 community going, because new content is locked away in the PTS vault until the team finishes their adaptations. Well, now y'all have no excuse, as we have an entire season's worth of content to work with now. Even though we don't have official scripts, I think the concepts alone can keep the community alive for a long time, if y'all capitalize on this correctly. There's an entire goldmine of fan art, fan scripts, fan animations, so on and so forth that can be made out of this content dump. Get on it, and let's show everyone that we're far from being dead. But, what do you guys think of the Make Your Mark Season 2 plans? Are you satisfied with what we're getting through Taiyo Tail? Or do you wish that this season was made instead? Or maybe you feel a mixture of both like I do. Whatever the case, feel free to let me know in the comments below. Until my Part 2 review comes out, this is Hawk Nightwing signing out until then. Hoof to heart.